My great-grandparents had immigrated from my father's side from Puerto Rico around the turn of the century, making their way around South America to Hawaii for a little bit, and then they ended up in San Francisco. And then on my mother's side, her grandfather got out a map of California. They were in Mexico, and he said, wherever my finger lands, that's where we're going to live. And ended up in Santa Barbara, California, which is a pretty nice place to be. But at that time, they were just working in the fields, and he built a house for his 7 kids. And my mom began picking walnuts when she was about 5. She had a little bit of schooling. She was able to complete her 8th grade, and then she's back to work for the family. And then my father ended up quitting school in the 10th grade to work for his family in San Francisco. He was driving a truck. So very hardworking people, a lot of struggles. They experienced a lot of, discrimination and racism and segregation. We would be thankful if we could get a high school education, and I always felt like I wanted to go to college even in high school, even though there was a lot of obstacles to overcome. Because growing up, if you look at those people who were in authority, those people who had power and knowledge, it all came predominantly from white society. As a child, we never had many teachers of color or principals or politicians or police. So we grew up thinking that knowledge and power came from white society, and when we were seen on television or movies, we were caricatures. So the type of jobs most Hispanics had in California were manual type of labor, working in the fields, dishwashing, roofing. And so, it was very difficult to aspire to become something more than that. And so it had I think, a tremendous impact on my self-esteem growing up at what I could aspire to be, even wanting to go to college, because I knew I wanted to be a teacher even when I was in high school. And my counselor, when I went to career day, and I mentioned I wanted to go to college to be a teacher. Well, there's just so many teachers. You're never going to find a job being a teacher. And the Silicon Valley is growing, and you could probably get a good job. And so I took her advice and spent 15 years working in a factory, just doing really grueling type of jobs in a factory, mostly defense contracts in the late 70s and early 80s. But I still aspired to go to college, so I took community courses in the evening at the local community college. I just did that for years, just taking a few classes here and there, till finally I had accumulated enough to the point where I guess the people at the community college said, well, you've pretty much done all you can do here. It's time to think about a 4-year school. And once I decided to go to a 4-year school, and I'm still working full-time, my girlfriend said, well, what school do you want to go to? And I said, well, San Jose State's a good commuter school. I can work, and it's flexible. And she said, well, what do you dream? Where do you dream of going to school? And I said, well, in that where I live, in my backyard was Stanford and Santa Clara University, pretty prestigious schools. And I didn't think I'd get into Stanford. So I said, well, Santa Clara's a really good school, small schools. She says, well, apply, because the worst thing that can happen is they'll say no, and you're still in the same spot. So I got an acceptance and a full scholarship, and I just felt like I'd won the lotto. It was just amazing. I was 30 years old, and most of the students are 18. But Santa Clara helped me to believe in myself and that I could learn and pursue my dreams. I was able to graduate from Santa Clara in 1994, and I still wanted to be a teacher, and I applied for a master's program at Stanford to get my teacher's credential, and I was accepted and ended up getting my teacher's credential in social studies in 1995. So I graduated from high school in 1976. That's when I first told my counselor I wanted to be a teacher. So almost 20 years later, I'm going to be a teacher.